super sleepy thing. Kind of a quick thing. If you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share. Support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. So, I've talked about all this harassment that has gone, I've dealt with through the video game community for so many years. So I actually have been more and more looking at actually potentially suing people like Rooflemonger and all that kind of stuff. And so this is my question to you guys, okay? If you have any video evidence, because of course I've showed him lying to the community and on stream saying stuff I'm doing is not real, does not work in the game, and then he later does it. I have him lying about my health, all that kind of stuff, right? So any of these guys, if you have any video evidence or just these guys talking with their voice or them on stream, specifically talking or them on stream video, right? If you have any video evidence of anyone ever lying about me, say Damascus used to say he watched my videos, then now he says he doesn't watch it. Obama has lied about me. The Team Gohan Discord guys, I don't know if there's any video evidence of them, doing what they did, but of course there's lots of text messages and Twitter and, Reddit and Discord and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, anyone that's ever made up lies about me, especially when you talk about my health, if you can, send it to me, okay? Because I have been looking into actually potentially suing these guys because of the harassment that I've all faced throughout the years. And what the lawyers have basically told me is video evidence is automatic, right? You know what I mean? But stupidly enough, for some of these things like, the Discord trying to say that I hate transgender, I try to get gay people to kill themselves, all this kind of stuff. Apparently, and Rooflemonger, all this kind of crazy shit he has wrote. Apparently, the lawyer said that although it sounds stupid and that we all know that they did this, to prove this in court, I would need probably about to pay $10,000 for. It sounds ridiculous to me when I'm talking to these lawyers. I would need like $10,000 for an expert to prove that it was them reasonably who wrote this. I don't know why reasonably who wrote this. It's their account. We don't think anyone actually hacked their account on Discord or Reddit or Twitter, any of this kind of stuff. But they told me legally they will probably try to fight it and say, oh no, that wasn't me on my account. But the video evidence is any video evidence, especially when they're talking about my health, give it to me, and that is proof. And so basically what I was told is, because I thought, defamation, slander, that kind of stuff. And they were actually telling me, so the defamation, slander, if it's them speaking, I guess they have Discord stuff where people speak to each other. If you've ever had their voice actually lying about me in some kind of way, about what I've done in video games, you know what I mean? Anything to defame me in that way, you know what I mean? Because text, you have to prove with an expert that you have to pay extra money for, basically, they told me. Video proof, easy. So I'm in kind of a shitty position because they said the video evidence is good, but they might want more. You know what I mean? And what they did tell me, though, is because they've actually, talked about my medical record, which is, and even Buttmonger has tried to post stuff, like misleading stuff. All this kind of stuff they've actually done. The lawyers were actually telling me this, though, they said, again, defamation, slander, you might have to prove with like an expert, so extra money. But they actually said the stuff that a lot of these guys have done actually borderlines being actually criminal, and I could actually possibly criminally prosecute these guys for the stuff that they've done and said about me. That is cheaper, and they kind of gave me the idea that I could probably criminally prosecute these guys for just a few $1,000s for the stuff that they've done. Now the problem is some of these guys obviously live in other countries, and they're like, we have done this, we've done defamation stuff and we've done criminal stuff, but when they live in another country, even after we won, it was a real bitch to get the money. You know what I mean? Of course, when you're doing a criminal thing, you don't often win as much in the first place. So anyway, basically, so the idea is defamation, slander, I could win more money, but they would probably want more video evidence because they like Buttmonger. In text, he's talking about how lying about me made him money and encouraged other people. But I don't have him actually saying on video that lying about me made him money, which is kind of like a big smoking gun. Like the health record and all this kind of stuff, we have this. But do I have video evidence of them saying that? I just have this stuff in text. And that would be, like I said, it sounds stupid. They're like, that could cost $10,000 to prove that that was them who wrote this. So anyway, my lawyers are basically saying, you know what I mean? When I've looked to either the best case scenario is, you know, it'd be better to find a lawyer who is in each of these countries where these people are, because it's easier to serve them. And when we've prosecuted people in other countries, you know what I mean? It was a real bitch to get the money. Or you do a criminal kind of thing, which you have enough evidence that it's probably criminal at this point, but you don't really win as much money, but it's cheaper, and, you know, they're now criminally prosecuted, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't have money to really do any of it, but talking to them, they basically have pretty much made it sound like, yeah, you have a good case. You know what I mean? You could do this. We recommend you doing it, but the money, you don't have money, you know what I mean? And, some of these people live in other countries, which could be a problem. So definitely something I'm debating. Again, money is a problem. Again, they said criminal stuff is easier. And I can even say, you know, they're like, someone like, you know, we think you have a case, but too much money. And then even afterwards, after I left, you know, after I got done talking to them, they messaged me again. And they're like, you know what, looking at your Twitter following and your Instagram, they're even like, you know what, do you think you can prove that you lost Twitter followers or Instagram people from this? You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, well, of course I've lost people from, you know what I mean, social media. Because, yeah, like social media, they're like, you can make so much money on social media. And it's such like a standard thing. And they're like, but can you prove that they purposely did this to your Twitter or Instagram? And so that was weird, because they're like, okay, we have the YouTube proof that we could prove. Do you think we could prove Twitter and like fucking, you know, like Instagram and all this kind of stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, obviously they haven't helped, but do you think you have as much proof as YouTube? And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. And they're like, yeah, it's like, you know, they called me back. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, you really should do this, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. And I was even talking, you know, I've talked to multiple people, and they're like, yeah, your case is actually not that strange. We did a defamation case with someone else from like social media, and person got caught making up a bunch of stuff about them. So they're like, your case is actually not that surprising, they said. So anyway, the point is, though, basically at the end of the day, I'm looking for more and more video evidence, because the more and more video evidence I have of messed up stuff they've said, I wouldn't need to pay for an expert for all the stuff that they wrote. Basically, if I have the money in the first place, right? Which again, I think is so ridiculous. They're like, yeah, we know they wrote it, but they would probably try to argue that someone hacked their account or they didn't write it, which is so, it's almost like a meme, right? Like, oh, someone hacked my account. It's like they would probably try to argue that. It's not as stupid as it sounds. So yeah, if you have any more video evidence, even like Discord conversations, you know what I mean? People lying, because obviously we have all this ridiculous stuff, but I only have so much actual video evidence of them saying it, right? So if you have any of that, send it to me, right? Because it is definitely, it's on my mind. Can you imagine if I had, man, should I go? Can you imagine, should I go? I should probably go look. I should go try to find that Maximilian video where he was talking about this, that the stuff wasn't from me. Can you imagine if all the people I had the biggest smoking gun for, it ended up being Maximilian, that I go back and I somehow can find that video of him acting like it wasn't me who did all this stuff in the videos, and then later on admitting it was in the video? God, I guess I should try to find that video, right? Anyway, so that's what I'm asking. If you guys have this, let me know. Thanks.